Welcome back to Kamen Rider Review, episode number 31. This is reviewing episodes 4 through 6. Now, in these episodes, basically, we have the Kamen Rider face off against 4 known monsters from Greek myth. In episode 4, he faced off against the Medusa, who, by the way, does not turn people to stone, like she does in the Greek myth. Oh no, for some reason the show made her into a freaking vampire. Because for some reason they made it where, let's have her suck blood, make her stronger. And unlike other suits, they actually had this one being like a see-through. It's obviously somewhere a mask, obviously being Medusa. Episode 5 was a Cyclops. Episode 6 was a man bull, which is a version of the Minotaur. Now, episode 4 basically has this thing where at one point in the episode, we actually have the Kamen Rider seeing the symbol of the GOD organization for the very first time. He sees it on a random door. Yes, seriously. He's on a random door, and he doesn't think much of it. It's like, what's this weird symbol? Yeah, the symbol for the God organization, for the GOD organization. That's the first time he had ever seen it. Of course, this also is one of those times where he doesn't defeat. Now, here's the thing. In the first 2 episodes and this one, the monster's defeated using his motorcycle, not his signature kick that the first 3 Kamen Riders know for doing. Oh no, let's have this guy defeat him via basically a freaking motorcycle. And later on, and especially episodes 5 and 6, defeated with the X kick. Basically, the X kick is simply a variant of the Rider kick, which is a very powerful kick that destroys the monsters. Unlike normally, when our monster is destroyed, especially in somewhat early V3 and second like a lot of the original Kamen Rider series where they explode, this one proceeds to have them turn to goo and then a burning effect. Yeah, I thought this is kind of weird. 5 was the return of Tish Tabata, the mentor for the first 4 Kamen Riders, which great to see the guy again. And he just seen at the start of the episode riding a motorcycle. That's been unusual for him to do. Yeah, usually a lot of time when you see him in the original one, when you see driving anything, he usually has a car, not usually a motorcycle. So then later on he sees something else unusual. By the way, the monster of the episode is played by the actor who played Mason, the future actor who played Mason in the show Bioman. Yep. This is probably also one of his earliest appearances in Tokusatsu history because this is earlier than his appearance in Biofeber J, which comes about 5 years later. Yeah, he's a human form of the Cyclops monster, which, yeah, this also, I believe was this episode here, was the first time we actually saw a GOD base. Because prior to this episode, we never saw their base. Never did. There's also something where children are kidnapped in the episode, and they're later trying to be frozen, make slaves of GOD when they eventually take over the world. Yes, kidnapped group of kindergartners. So, once Tabata sees that Jin is Kamen Rider X, he's like, Kamen Rider? Of course, he'll speak to him later about it. Of course, one thing when he meets him, before he finds out he's a Kamen Rider, he mentions Destron, the main fighting organization from V3. That was destroyed by V3 himself, along with the first 2 Kamen Riders. Eventually, of course, later on, after he finds out he's Kamen Rider X, he does talk to him about the first 4 Kamen Riders. Kamen Rider 1, 2, V3, and Rider Man, the 4th one. Like, they used a little bit of stock footage from V3, which I thought was really nice. They did that. Showed out basically the scene where he had the first 2 Kamen Riders with the 3rd one, and another one they show footage of what V3 looks like, the Rider Man looks like. And of course, by the end of the episode, they agree to become partners. And mentor, mentee. I think to bring him in here was definitely a good idea. Why in the world they waited 5 episodes in to basically bring him in was a bit unusual, but I get the reason why. I'm sure he probably was contracted to appear in this one, but my guess is the reason why he didn't appear in the first 4 episodes, well, my guess is probably just to try to establish the character Kamen Rider X, and plus also the guy probably need a break at to basically appear like every episode of Kamen Rider and V3. Yeah, he probably needed a vacation. So that's probably the reason why they waited a while before they finally introduced him. And the thing is, start with this one. The thing comes shorter for a while, and then it comes much more long when it comes to Skyrider. So, of course, they work together. The base up is destroyed in the episode, but I get the whole thing holding him off, basically, because probably the vacation period for so much time in the Kamen Rider. My problem is this. Why the heck they waited 5 episodes and finally introduced a GOD base? When you look at Kamen Rider and of course V3, there's always a base that they have, not the main base, one of the many bases they have throughout Japan. They show both in the original Kamen Rider series and V3. This one we 5 episodes in, not only introduced Special Tabata, but also the hideout concept. And apparently the headquarters bases are kept in tunnels, which is a bit different than... Now, in the case of V3 and the original Kamen Rider series, usually their bases are a complete random place like graveyards, like one was the type of an abandoned apartment building. Usually it's always beneath them. And how usually one of the ways to get in there is via a lift. Yeah, a lift basically brings a truck down, and of course, Jin's inside, frees the children, and of course, Tabata basically, and of course he's around the kids, and the usual thing, like all the episodes end with basically him running away at the end of the episode. Sometimes he's usually in his Kamen Rider form, or he's basically in his regular flesh form. Yep. Oh, but they always refer to cyborgs as reconstructed humans. And by the way, when he took like a slight slap, he thought it was like a little too much because it was, I think, because it was strength. Yes, and in the very next episode, we have it where we have a bus accident. Yes, a bus accident caused by pure accident when a GOD welfare agent, one of their grunts, accidentally drops a box of explosives, which caused a bus to crash. Do GOD take credit for this? No, not necessarily, because I think this is not exactly one of their plans. The monster this one is simply a man bull. Yes, a man bull, that's what they refer to it as. Basically a minotaur. And of course, you have Jin just happily just saving a little girl who almost commits suicide because her parents were killed in this bus accident. And of course, well, Tabata is asked to keep an eye on the girl because, she's lonely. And of course, it's mentioned about Tabata in the last episode was once president of the Raider team. My guess is that's probably a nod to the Raider Corps, which they're simply kids who basically provide information for Kamen Rider, both in for the original series and V3. X didn't necessarily have them per se. Yes, I'm not really sure exactly why. Yeah, in case you wonder what happened with them at the V3, it's not exactly been stated. It was mentioned in episode 5. But after that, they did have a version pop up for Super 1, but it's interesting though, they never actually mentioned exactly what happened to them. They do have is where episode 5's debut of Coffee House CLL. Yeah, and the Man Bull himself simply just tries to create more chaos. Eventually, he's defeated by one of the most unique aspects about the Man Bull is that he can form his hands to shields, to a shield, which really cool concept for him. Though he eventually is defeated at the very end, but it's a really interesting episode for episode 6. But that's simply it to talk about that. But yeah, we're getting really interesting here when it comes to the Kamen Riders. Now, I'm looking forward to when they explore more concepts of the Kamen Riders. I kind of wish they give an on-screen explanation exactly what happened to the writer core, because here they're just mentioned in one episode, but as for where the kids are, what happened to them, don't know. Also, what happened to the supporting characters from the last series, don't know, because with the exception of him and the Kamen Riders for that one, they don't appear ever again. That's one thing Kamen Rider basically sucks at. A lot of, with exception to basically at the bottom, with the exception of him, a lot of the reoccurring characters from both the original Kamen Rider series and V3 just get dropped as soon as basically the series wraps up. But at least V3 didn't have this really big issue having the support character disappear after a short period of time. At least they had characters stay on for more than a few episodes before they could disappear. Yep. But yeah, really good episodes here, and can't wait to discuss more. I'll probably discuss more a little bit later. But next is going to be 2 Comic Corners, and then we'll be right back there. Let's say I will get through more than 3 episodes today for this one, okay? See you next video, which will be Comic Corners. Bye.